Hello, welcome to That's Camellia podcast. This is your go to space for conversations that aren't just powerful, but they are designed to help you grow, ignite a conversation. They're designed for you to say, well, let's talk about that. I am your host, Camellia. So, bi monthly, I will be diving into some raw, real, truly insightful conversations and sometimes dialogue with some guests that I'll have on the show. And I know that these conversations will leave you empowered and uplifted because that's the goal. I want to encourage you to look, hope beyond what you can see. So think about this. Think about That's Camellia podcast as a little corner of the world where we're going to spark some change. We're going to change the world one meaningful conversation at a time. So settle in, grab you a quick little drink, and let's get encouraged together. And let's cause a ripple that will change the world.
A brief overview about your journey with the LENA organization.
Absolutely, Camellia. Thank you so much for having me. It is just such a pleasure to be able to be a part of this and to be invited to talk about LENA. I do not have grandbabies of my own just yet, but I do have two children. My oldest son is about to be 21, and my youngest son is 14. And as a former teacher, I actually taught high school and junior high students and always really wished that I had resources like what we have at LENA as a parent myself, but also wish that my students, that I had resources similar to this as a teacher, and that my kids had access to resources, and that their parents had these kinds of resources. So when I left the classroom and have worked with school districts all across the state of Texas over the last several years, and then was approached by LENA and learned about this program, I just got so excited and just couldn't wait to be a part of LENA's mission. So thank you for just giving me the opportunity to just talk about it and share it with you and with your listeners.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, a little bit about LENA as a company. We are actually a national nonprofit organization. LENA stands for Language Environment Analysis, so it is an acronym. And essentially, we've been doing research on brain development in infants and young children for 20 years. And through that research, we actually have essentially focused a lot of that around language acquisition and that brain development. And covered basically kind of the key to the easiest way to develop these brains in the most impactful. And that is what we call conversational terms. And these are back and forth interactions between adults and children, young children, all the way from infancy to age 5 and beyond. And so we have conversational terms every single time we interact. And that is when I say something to you and you say something back to me within 5 seconds. And then I say something back and then you say something back. And each time we have an interchange, that's a conversational turn. And so a lot of parents, and adults will do, they understand the importance and the value, and we know the value of saying a lot of words to babies and toddlers and young children, and it is so important for them to hear a lot of words in a day. But what we have found is more important is for them to talk back and forth with their caregivers, with their parents, with their grandparents, and with the people that they're interacting with, the adults that they're interacting with. And that actually builds their brains significantly more quickly than just hearing a lot of words. And so what we strive to do is build awareness on the value of increasing those conversational terms, those back and forth interactions with adults, and how important that can be, and how much faster we can develop language and increase that brain development in that way through those conversational terms.
Yeah, conversational terms. That's amazing, because sometimes as we parent, we just go through, we're fixing the food for our toddler. We don't inform them and let them know what we're doing. We're tying their shoe. We don't tell them what we're doing, and it does take an intentional action, So with LENA's mission centering around, I know I was reading, they have a talk pedometer. And do you happen to have one of those that you can kind of show our audience?
I do, yes. Yeah, so through all of this research that we've done, what we created through all of the research is a technology device that actually tracks conversational learning. So I'll hold it up on the
yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So this is our brand new LENA device, and it's, as you can see, it's nice and small.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does is it has three things that it tracks, that it collects data on.
Okay.
It analyzes the language environment that a child is in, and the child actually wears the device in a vest. I'm going to show you the vest really quick.
Okay.
I always tell people I get excited about the tiny vest because, again, I have almost grown children, and I taught junior high and high school, so I get excited about tiny clothes.
Okay.
So this is our LENA vest.
Okay.
And the device, the child wears the device in this little pocket right here. It
Mm-hmm.
just slips right in, and they wear it all day. So the device gets turned on. It has their name kind of coded onto it. And the device will essentially listen to what's going on all day and record the language environment. And it essentially converts that language environment and the recording into a series, an algorithm, a series of counts. It's a talk pedometer, so it counts three different things. It's going to count the conversational turns, those back and forth conversational turns.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to count the number of adult words that the child is being exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to count the number of vocalizations or words that the child is speaking. And so it's actually able to distinguish the difference between actual attempts at language for an infant and a toddler versus, say, crying or screaming or even like digestive sounds like burping and
Mm-hmm.
things like that
Mm-hmm.
from actual language attempts.
That's amazing.
For a little tiny baby, which is so cool.
Yeah.
And so it's able to make those counts. And it provides a data report that we're able to see a breakdown hourly of those three things.
Mm.
And we're able to kind of understand really what's happening in the day for that child.
Mm.
And it's all tied to a program that we've developed for classroom educators called LENA Grow, which we use in professional development series. It's 5 weeks long. And those teachers are able to use this where their children are wearing the device one time a day for 5 weeks, and then they see those data reports once a week and are able to have this continuous feedback loop 5 weeks in a row where they can set these goals based off of the data. Mm-hmm. And really see which children are needing specific interventions. They're able to see the language environment of their whole classroom and understand where they can build on certain strengths and increase their language environment during certain times of the day, and really just be able to have a really strong impact on their whole classroom and individual students as well, to increase that language development and that brain development for their kids.
That is so important. That is so important. I think sometimes we miss that piece of it or don't realize how impactful it can be. So, Lindsey, what has been your aha moment, most surprising moment of discovery or your time and what you have seen in a child's future using the LENA program?
Oh, what a great question. I think something that has been really surprising for me within all of this has really been that our educators have really struggled a lot, and I know that I, as an educator, really struggled a lot with feeling like, and I don't think that I ever had the ability to pinpoint this when I was a teacher until I came to LENA and saw, oh my gosh, this was probably a huge piece of why I left the classroom after 10 years of teaching because I loved being a teacher. I loved being a teacher so much. But a huge part of the reason that I think I left being a teacher and realized it after coming to LENA was I had no idea if anything I was doing was really making a real difference. And there is so much, there's so much pressure being a teacher. There's a lot of pressure coming from administration. There's a lot of pressure coming from parents. There's a lot of pressure for teachers right now coming from society to, to do more, to be more, to give more. And you work really hard as a teacher and you try so hard to do the very best that you can for your kids. And there's not a lot of ways to verify that what you're doing is working on a regular basis as an educator. Okay. The most that you're ever really going to get are test scores, which you'll get once a year. You may get benchmark scores, throughout the year, maybe 2 times a year prior to that. And that's really about it. And for some kids, that may never really feel like much. And so what's really beautiful about LENA is, again, that weekly feedback cycle of showing continuous improvement in children because of the efforts that you're making week over week over week. You see instant improvement. You see the things that you did for the last 5 days paying off immediately, week over week over week. And you're able to see the fruits of those efforts pay off very quickly and very rapidly. And our teachers, we have tons of evidence that has shown that because of those impacts, that LENA has long-term impacts on educator retention, on educator job satisfaction, on educator self-efficacy. And I think that for me, that was a huge aha moment, was I had no data to verify that I was actually making a difference for kids' development, not just that they loved me as a teacher, just generally. And that was a big part of the reason I left teaching, was because I couldn't verify that with data other than that my kids seemed to be happy in my classroom. So that was a huge aha moment for me with LENA, was it would have been very cool to have had real data, real feedback on a regular basis telling me what you're doing is working. It really is working.
I can see the extreme value that would be, because it's one thing to have the parents and the child, appreciate you, thank you. I'm definitely an advocate for all of our teachers, just because I know of the huge impact that they make in our children's lives. Teachers have more time with our kids than we do, Monday through Friday. So, having that reassurance, that data to back it up, I am making a difference. There is a difference being made, because sometimes as people, as human, we forget to say thank you. Why? I don't know. But by the way, thank you so much for helping my child. I have a wonderful testimony from my daughter when she was 3 years old, pre-K 3, Lindsey. Her teacher at the time told me, you ought to think about putting her in an art class. She's really good. She has a good eye for art. And Lindsey, she's telling me this while I'm looking at stick pictures. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. Really? She says, yeah, she really does. You ought to try it. She says, put her in that little art center that's right up the street from your house. Every Saturday, just start her off and see if she likes it. And from that, 3 years old, my daughter is now 16 and a great little artist. She has gotten commission works, been awarded to district competitions, won district competitions, won art contests, all because I took that advice from her teacher when she was pre-K, 3 years old. I mean, to this day, we're really close friends. I mean, now we're really close friends. I consistently give her updates about what she's doing, because she needs that reminder. She told me this a month ago, Lindsey. She says, I really appreciate you coming back to tell me, what's happening in Charity's life, because I need that as reassurance. because she said, like you, she said, it's hard being a teacher because sometimes you don't get that recognition. She said, so that really helps me just coming back to just to let me know the impact that she's still making from that one choice. And I followed up on it. So I just want to just toot the horn to make sure that we're acknowledging our teachers who are doing an amazing job out there. I mean, because you need it. I guess that goes for anything, right? I mean, we don't always need that pat on the back, but every once in a while, everybody needs to say, you're doing a good job.
Right.
I really do.
It never hurts anybody. Just hear every now and then that they're doing okay.
Right? Yeah, right. Because me and you both know parenting doesn't come with a manual. It's
no joke.
And each child is different. Yeah, I mean, one might get it, and the other one, it might take about 10 lessons before they get it. But so it's no manual. So it's meaningful when you can come back and say, you know what, thank you. I really appreciate the extra time. So thank you so much, Lindsey. Let me say thank you. Thank you for your time. Time with the organization as well, and time for speaking with us. So another question. So beyond the data that you spoke about, and the data that the infant pedometer, the talk pedometer, what it collects, have you seen any insights directly that empower the parents and the educators about transforming their approach of daily interactions with our children? I mean, that ultimately changes their developmental trajectory in life, in school.
Absolutely. So yeah, one of the things that's really beautiful about LENA is, and LENA Grows specifically, we have a parent engagement component within that program.
Mm-hmm.
And so really the first part of that is, informing the parents what the program is, how it works, and the parents are involved in that process, that they consent to their children being a part of the LENA Grow program in the first place, and knowing what they're going to be doing. But then also there is a child-specific report that can be shared with the parents, and so the teachers are able to go over that report and walk the parents through week over week, or at the end they can show the parents each week's report to show the progress that their child has made. So that is very cool to be able to kind of loop the parent in. But then what LENA has as well to be able to support parents, and I think really what probably your listeners would be most interested in, is we've got a ton of resources on our website. Since we're a nonprofit organization, we have a few arms, right? We've got our technology, which is available to, classrooms and to research institutions and things like that, to speech pathologists and professionals. But then, so that's our kind of, our technology arm. But then we also have our outreach arm and our education arm. And so that side of what we do is all about just increasing awareness to the entire world about how important conversational turns are. And it's really our goal that every parent, every adult, anybody who ever interacts with a child should know how important conversational turns are, and that they are the easiest way to develop a brain's child the fastest. And so on our website at lena.org/resources, parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and anybody who has a child in their life that they love, that they care about, that they interact with, can go there and they can download all of our free resources on early talk. We have our 14 talking tips, which is kind of our cornerstone resource.
Okay.
Those are 14, research-based, evidence-based tips that essentially are just kind of things that you just need for great communication, for for anybody really in your life, but especially for young children. Things like make it fun, get on their level, tell them, talk to them about what you're doing. Exactly like you said, we're making dinner. If you're making dinner for your child, instead of doing it silently while they're sitting watching TV or playing on a phone or an iPad, have them sit next to you and talk to them about what they're doing. Ask them about, what does it look like? What does it smell like? What colors are these things? Do they recognize the colors? Can they name the colors? What does it feel like? And talk to them about these things. And so we've got 14 talking tips. That resource is available in 14 different languages.
That's amazing.
So anybody can access that. Just download it for free. Everything else that we have is available in English and in Spanish. And those are things like conversation starters, where we've got little different kind of like sentence stems with like question stems, where you can start conversations about just about anything. Tips about social emotional learning, ideas for conversations that you can have during reading, conversations about math, anything that you can kind of imagine is available on our website for anybody to download for free and share for free. And so we would invite anybody to just get a hold of those and use them and share them with anybody that they know that interacts with children at any time.
I like that. And that's LENA.org. And I will also have your contact information, the organization's contact information in the show notes as well. So looking ahead, where do you see the most significant opportunity for LENA to further revolutionize early childhood development, language development?
I love that. Well, this was literally just me like just guessing off the top of my head. So I really don't know. Where we're kind of going at this point is our LENA Growth program. I know is going to begin. You're going to love this. Incorporating a lot more parent materials into it. And so I do see that program becoming more. So right now it is really solely a classroom facing program.
Okay.
For early childhood classrooms, and it's for educators, and it's a professional development for teachers. However, we are going to be moving that program in a direction that is going to focus on bringing in parents more. I myself don't know exactly what that looks like, but I'm really excited to see what it's going to be and how that's going to be accomplished. And so, that is something that I'm really thrilled for, because as we know, and as you said, our educators are spending a solid 8+ hours a day, especially our early childhood people are spending typically more than that with our children. And then our parents are spending the rest. So, it's half and half sometimes. The amount of time that we're spending with our kids. Teachers have them half the time, and our parents have them the other half of the time. So we want it to be really a joint effort where we're pulling in parents and teachers together. And if we can both be on the same page, doing the same, the same thing and making the same effort, we can have kids just skyrocketing by the time they get to kindergarten. They can be so far beyond kindergarten ready. It's just going to be funny.
That's good.
That's what we're really excited about. And we're really seeking ways to change, systemically change, and advocate for change in early childhood education. So that's a huge part of what we do is work towards legislative systems and changing things there at the state level across the U.S., which takes a lot, but we are working on it as well. So.
It does take a group. I would say a lot of collaboration, a lot of partnering, and the early that you get parents more involved, and they see, just like teachers need that occasional pat on the back, I think as parents, we also need to know the value of not only what our teachers are providing to our students, but see the value of their work. If I saw the report, if the teacher was giving me a report of how many words are being spoken throughout the day with my child, and then what's being recorded, and then what's being shared at home, that would be a motivator for me. That would be a motivator week by week. I'm like, let's try to increase these words. And you form this partnership, right, with the teacher to say, let's get this going. Let's increase this number. Let's increase these conversational turns. That is huge. And that would revolutionize a lot. I mean, starting from infant. Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
It would be incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, especially starting from 0. And oh my gosh, imagine how far they'd be if you've been working on them with this from the time they were an infant all the way up to age 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Thank you for that. So if there was a core message or a piece of advice for every parent, Lindsey, caregiver, educator, about fostering a child's language development, what would it be?
Oh, I love that. Oh, the best advice I can give is this. It is not about talking with your kids all of the time, right? Our most effective parents, and we've done tons of studies on this, our most effective parents are not, they are not just nonstop talking to their kids all day, every single day. What our most effective parents are doing is finding chunks of time to target during the day, about 20 to 30 minutes, where they are carving out space with their kids where it makes sense. And so they're choosing focus time to really maximize those conversational turns rather than trying to just never stop having conversational turns while they're with their children. They'll set aside some time and they'll say, this is going to be some time where I'm going to try to really intentionally focus. So it doesn't have to be you're doing nothing else. In fact, that's kind of the worst time to do it because then you have nothing to talk about, right?
Right.
So again, a great time to do it is when you're doing meal time, when you're playing with them, when you're doing bath time, when you're, so when you're doing stuff is really the best time to talk with your kids and include them in what you're doing so that you can have a conversation with them. Give yourself 20 minutes of focus time to try to do some back and forth conversation. And then you can stop for a little while. And then when something else is going to happen that you can bring them into, give yourself some focus time to talk back and forth. It doesn't have to be nonstop, just some focus time here and there. And you will make a huge difference in your child's brain development with those focus times of conversing back and forth with them.
I like that. Focus time. And like you said, in between of still doing your normal things that you're going to do at home, but whatever that is, bringing that child along to have a conversation and then waiting for that response. I even started trying to do this with my grandbaby who's 2.5. So when I was in the kitchen, I was fixing dinner and we're saying she's getting tall now, so she could reach the counter. So I have to watch. I said, oh no, we can't. What are we touching right now? What is this? Give me the bell pepper. What color is this bell pepper? What does it look like? So adding in that how does it feel would be a good one, to start adding things in. And I like that. I really like that because to me, it's like an adventure every day because you see life through their little eyes and what they discover, colors, and they're just so engaged. Children are engaged. If you pay attention, they're engaged because they're observing everything you do. You can say, don't touch that, but guess what they're going to do if they see you touching it? They're going to touch it. So add in that conversational turn. If you touch this is hot. Hot's bad. How about that?
Exactly. What happens if we touch that?
Right. So in that, you just have to be, like you said, Lindsey, intentional about it. So I really like that because I think that's what we need. We need to be reminded of what intentional is and do it. Just like with everything else. You have to be intentional in your marriage. You have to be intentional with your work. I mean, we have to be intentional to live. All of that. It's a cycle.
Yep, exactly.
So, Lindsey, tell me your most inspiring vision you hold for the world today, for our children to have this talk-rich environment that they need to thrive in.
Oh, wow. Honestly, at this point, in our society and where we are right now, this sounds, it almost feels like this is so simplistic. Where we are right now, if we could just have universal pre-K in all of our states, universal pre-K in all of our states, I think would make a monumental difference. We do not have universal pre-K here in Texas.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah, we do not have universal pre-K here in Texas. And in fact, there are many states across the U.S. that do not have universal pre-K. And our children in Texas and in those states are at a significant disadvantage as a result of that. That really puts our kids at a great disadvantage because of that. And so, where we stand, even our children who, and this is really something that I've learned only having been at LENA now for a year or so, because I wasn't really, I wasn't really aware of everything that was happening in the early childhood world when I was in K-12 and in the secondary world. What I have learned is even our families that are on subsidized childcare and that are eligible for subsidized childcare, we still have nearly 100,000 children in Texas that are eligible for subsidized childcare that cannot get it. They're on the waiting list because there are not enough slots. They're waitlisted because there's not enough spaces for them. And so that's even for our low income families who are actually eligible to get subsidized childcare still can't access it.
Wow.
So truth be told, that is, it's so baseline. But that would just be a place to start. That would just be a place to begin, honestly, would be to start there, because what I know for certain is that, our childcare system knows the value of conversational terms and strives towards that. All of our assessments place huge emphasis on back and forth conversations for equality in childcare. And so you won't find a single early childhood educator that doesn't know how important conversational terms are. Now they may be working on being better at it, but they know that they are important. So what we really need is just the availability of childcare for all children, period. To be able to provide that so that we can ensure that every child has access to that, so that we can then ensure that every child can get quality childcare, and that every parent can have access to that, to be able to learn from their educators, about that, as well as be able to be in the workforce and be able to provide the best life that they can for their kids as well. So again, that's a baseline. It's such a low bar, but that's where we got to start.
And me and you both know foundation is where you have to start. You have, because if you get the foundation right, if you get that conversational term set as a foundation, you have data. LENA has data. LENA organization has data that proves that it will put our kids in such a better place academically within their development. So I applaud you. That is amazing. I will get on that train with you, because it starts at the foundation. And I just ask all of our listeners as well to go out to lena.org, look at all the resources that are available. And what about, Lindsey, those organizations, the people, the schools? How do they get this LENA program or LENA Grow within their school system? What do they need to do? Next steps?
Oh, great question. So really the place that it's most likely to be available would be through their Workforce Solutions Board, if it's available there. We do have a few school districts that do have LENA. It really just depends on where it is available. And what they can do, truth be told, is if it's not available, they can always talk to they can talk to their child care center, they can talk to their school districts. If it's not available, they can recommend to their school district that they look into it and say, this is something that I've heard about that I really think that you should look into because it sounds like something that we should have. And then, they're welcome to pass along my information and we can have a conversation from there. So if it's not available in their area, they can definitely start with their local school district. They can start with their local child care center, their local workforce solutions board, if that's somewhere that they're working through. And then we can definitely work from there.
Thank you so much, Lindsey. That has been a wealth of information. I really appreciate it. This has been an amazing conversation, and I know for a fact that I hope all of our listeners go to LENA.org and look up all the resources. And like you mentioned, check the workforce solutions, and then also check with the child care center. Because you're right. If you don't see it, ask. Can we get this? Is this an option for us? So I like that. Even if you don't see it available, see if you can get it. My grandmother, Lindsey, would always say a closed mouth don't get fed. So, hey, if you're not asking, you won't see it. But I just encourage all of our listeners to go out and ask. So, Lindsey, thank you so much again. I learn something every time I speak with you, and I really do appreciate the wisdom and the insight that you have provided today.
Oh, you are just such a pleasure to talk with, Camellia. Truly, it's been wonderful chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
All right, another great, powerful, and thoughtful conversation on That's Camellia podcast. I truly hope something has been discussed or said that resonated with you in this life episode in your life right now, or sparked a new thought, or just a little bit of peace and laughter. So, if you're ready to continue in your life episodes with me, or if you feel like you have a story that needs to be shared, head over to that'scamellia.com. That's where you'll find more information about my one-on-one and group coaching sessions, and even to apply to be a guest on here on That's Camellia podcast. So before you go, if you love what you heard today, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and follow That's Camellia podcast wherever you listen. And you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram, and of course on my website, that'scamellia.com. Your support helps us to spread these ripples of empowerment far and wide. So, all right, until next time, remember to be the ripple that changes others' lives. You got this.